The power of friendship may be strong, but Martin's definitely gonna die, right?
Powerful Nerdcast assembled!
Stay dandy, baby. The finale of Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury is just around the corner, and this episode really wants you to know that fact because it moves really, really fast. And whether this rapid pace is going to hurt or help the series remains to be seen. I'm going to hold my final thoughts until we get to the very end of the season, see if we can wrap up things real nicely. But this episode right here begins the final conflict of the series. As Suletta finally reunites with Miorine, they get over their bullshit. They get a ragtag group of teens to come together to take down Pospera, Quiet Zero, and all of her crazy plans. And it's going to involve a lot of shocking twists, as well as a brand new mobile suit itself, the Gundam Calibarn. And first, let me just gush about this mobile suit for a second. There's really nothing all that special about it in terms of its design. Very similar to Ariel, just lacking a little bit of that classic Gundam color scheme. But of course, what's really unique about this mobile suit is its ability to essentially work without a permit score limit. Basically, it can go to a higher score without supposedly hurting the pilot. Now, any other normal pilot is going to just get completely mind destroyed by this mobile suit, but because Suletta is a clone of Eric and she seems to be able to resist this, everything's gonna be just fine. That's not to say that it's easy to pilot the Gundam Calibarn, but she certainly takes to it like a duck in water. And while yes, it is a little ridiculous that she's able to just instantly pilot this mobile suit that she's never seen before, I mean, it's already ridiculous in the first place. I mean, they're really taking the whole witch imagery thing really seriously with this Gundam. It quite literally has a massive broomstick that it rides. A broomstick which fires a big boom laser. But let's break down some of the biggest moments of this episode because there's a lot to talk about because they just rush through so many different things in this episode. So Pospera and Quiet Zero are continuing to basically just dominate space, taking on anyone who decides to stupidly go up against her Quiet Zero, deflecting any attacks and even sending them right back at anyone that decides to show up. And yet, they're only at like 60% of their power. Eventually, when they get to 100%, they're going to be able to have complete control over the entire Earth sphere. And this means that our heroes are going to have to work fast, with Suletta deciding that she wants to meet up with Miorine to tell her about her plan of trying to stop Quiet Zero. This is not going to be easy, however, as when she finally does arrive, she's confronted by none other than Gwael, who quite literally challenges her to a fencing duel. While this is ridiculous, it's also kind of a nice callback to the original Mobile Suit Gundam, the epic fencing duel between Amuro Ray and Char Aznable. And while it's certainly not that exciting, it does feel kind of unnecessary. I mean, the only real reason why Gwael is doing this in the first place is because he just wants to see if Suletta has the ability to become the holder, which, again, why? I guess Gwael is still having some doubts about his overall relationship with Miorine, and he wants to see if he's even capable of following through with it, and he feels that maybe if he loses this fencing match with Suletta, it was never meant to be in the first place, and of course it's not. This fencing duel is ridiculous, but I have to admit it is pretty well animated. And then we have a nice touching scene between Suletta and Miorine, and it pretty much goes as you would expect, with Suletta sort of accepting the fact that in the past, in these big events, she has killed people, and while she has done it in defense of her friends and protecting those that she cared about, she simply just can't take back what she did. She took a life, and it's something that she's going to have to live with forever. It's a mistake that she is going to have to learn from. Miorine realizes this as well, with everything that she's been through, all the manipulation that she's been put through, and this basically puts her on the same terms as Suletta. They come together, they hug it out, blah, 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 blah. It could have been handled a little better. That's really my only thoughts about this scene. It feels like it was just really rushed right here. I feel like we should have gotten a little bit more of this, especially because we've had so little interaction between Suletta and Mio anyway, so whatever. They gotta get to the finale, so they gotta rush things out a little bit. Although I will say that Mio was not looking very great in this episode. She was on new levels of depression in this episode, but I do love the fact that when she finally does have the ability to accept everything she's done, owning up to her mistakes, including the ones that she's done, and Suletta, she's the one who actually takes the steps forward to actually confront her. It's a surprisingly touching moment, if a bit rushed. So now that we have all our players in place, we are going to get ready to set up the big final confrontation of the series, which is going to involve Suletta making her way through the Quiet Zero barrier so that she can confront both Pospera and Ariel, while all of her friends infiltrate the Death Star and take out its super laser. Basically, all the students are going to come together, infiltrate Quiet Zero, and shut it down from the inside. Of course, there's going to be a lot of obstacles, with Suletta having to deal with all of the various mobile suits which are being utilized by the Ariel and Eric, not to mention Gwail, who looks like he's going to have to deal with his brother. We already saw that he was brewing a couple of episodes ago. He's actually taking control of the Gundam Schwarzette, and he actually tries to assassinate Neo in this episode, before, of course, Gwail decides to get in a battle with him. A lot of the main side characters from the series make some pretty big splashes in this episode, especially those that are going to be involved in the final confrontation. And of course, everyone's head is on the chopping block. I'm pretty convinced, and a lot of my commenters are too, that Martin is probably going to die. Martin just can't catch a damn break. However, I would like them to buck this trend. I do want something of a happy ending for this character, if only for all the bullshit that he's actually gone through in the series. I want him to have his happy ending, and if it involves Nika, well, I'm okay with that as well. Personally, I feel that Choo-Choo is the one who's probably going to die in this final confrontation. Again, I don't necessarily want that to happen because I love her character. She's just a little fireball of awesomeness. But still, really, anyone could die. There's a lot of people who have that potential. Everyone from Belmeria to Pospera, and maybe even Gwail and his brother. The series also manages to shoehorn in that one character who goes by the name of Roji. I don't know if his name was ever mentioned before, but he's that weird kid with the Haro robot. Apparently he's kind of a little genius, and they just decided, you know what? We designed this character, let's use him for the last couple of episodes. I don't know. Again, this is just another one of those examples where I feel like a lot more of this series could have been fleshed out with a whole nother season, because it's got a great cast of characters and they're all really cool, but they really only mostly focus on like the main couple of characters of Suletta, Mio, Gwail. And with that, we pretty much have a finale to look forward to, and I have a feeling they are going to wrap up everything in this series the next couple of episodes, which is admittedly a little disappointing because I feel like they could have mined this series for just a little bit more for how amazing and rich its world building is. But at the same time, I'm also ready to sort of conclude things and move on to the future of what Gundam has next. It's always the most fun thing about the franchise, is how they can take such familiar elements and manage to put a brand new spin and twist on it. And that's something that G-Witch has done really well. So I can't wait to see what the future holds for the franchise. If anything, we definitely know that more Gundam is definitely coming. But let's just sit back, relax, and see how this whole thing is gonna wrap up. I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do with it. And I'd really love to hear your thoughts about it in the comments section below. So make sure to tell me what you thought about the latest episode of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, and what you think is going to happen in the big finale of the series. Who will live? Who will die? What do you want to see? Let's talk all about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.